What's good, YouTube and Twitch? We're live to both with a discussion on why Mystic Mine isn't that insane, meta-killing, hard-to-face deck that you're going to have trouble with at the regional/YCS level. Now, this is a floodgate that's printed like no other, that is one of the greatest floodgates, and is searchable as a field spell. And I hate it with every fiber of my being that it's created. It reminds me heavily of Kaiser Coliseum, and that's forbidden, yet this is just coming out at 3, and it's here for our WCQ format. Now, why don't I think it's going to be tearing it up? Well, there's a lot of natural predators to this deck running around the metagame. I've never seen so many True Draco players because True Draco's so cheap, and you're still going to be tributing your spells, able to wipe Mystic Mine off the board with that deck. And let's just say they don't play against True Draco the entire tournament. Well, there's still going to be a ton of Sky Strikers running around with natural outs as well. But let's talk about why people hate Mystic Mine, and then my opinion of why, well, it's a big deal at locals, which is a huge problem, but it's not going to be tearing up the regional and YCS stream very much like another overhyped archetype. Mystic Mine reads, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, your opponent cannot activate monster effects or declare an attack, so it stops you from being hit. Don't hit me, bro. You can't do it. You have more monsters. If you control more monsters than your opponent does, you cannot activate monsters effects or declare attacks. So it flips it back on you. So the thing about this is it makes your style of play very, very linear, because it restricts you in a way that stops you from just combo setting up and then playing this. Your effects, like if you're building a board with a ton of negates, this isn't going to aid you. Then once per turn during the end phase, if both players control the same number of monsters, destroy this card. So how they're playing it is they end up using Lilith, Lady of Lament. This allows them to get it off the field at any time, leaving you with more monsters, shutting off your effects. It stops you from getting your extra deck destruction from things like Nightmare Phoenix that would regularly take care of Mystic Mine. And Mystic Mine has multiple ways to end up popping up on your opponent's turn. You can play 3 Lilith, 3 Trap Trick, 3 Metaverse. Hey, all those popping out during your opponent's turn, and people are even buying out ridiculous cards like Demise of the Land in hopes to get Mystic Mine out to when your opponent does something. My problem with this overall is it creates what a lot of people assume to be a somewhat linear strategy of burn, and you can go for Trap Trick into Ring of Destruction to take care of Floodgate like cards like Gate Blocker or say Spell Canceller that would end up turning it off. A lot of the answers that people are coming up with and buying out, they just don't really stop the Mystic Mine deck once you've been testing against it a lot more. And they're even to the point where we're going back to 2006. Well, it was 2005 for me, but hey, Wave Motion Cannon, you know, well, actually this card really died with Des Wombat being a thing, but people are even talking about Des Wombat against this deck. It's ridiculous. And buying out cards like Close Force so that field spells can't be set up, and if I draw my one of set rotation, hey, that Close Force is really gonna shut them down. So we see bad conclusions to countering this deck, but we also see these natural good conclusions within the metagame. The Black Garden's not one of them. This is for later in the discussion. I have a rant about that. Red Reboot does pay half your life points, something that's not the most ideal thing against a burn deck, but all you have to do, realistically, is open a Red Reboot, shut down most of their back row, and have Twin Twisters, and you know how many 2 to 3 card combos create a full field and a blowout in this metagame? Oh yeah, there's quite a few. There's also Denko Sekka that's just naturally in a ton of side decks. You have 3 in Pendulums, you've got 3 in Thunder Dragons. Heck, it can even be searchable should you be playing the right cards. I think these are very natural answers within the metagame that are going to end up shutting down the Mystic Mine deck along the way. I think there's better stun decks overall than Mystic Mine the deck. With the ban list, Subterra Guru and his pals got a boost. You have double super polymerization now. You got Crackdown, which OCG players might know as Manhunt, which also aids True Dracos, being able to take a monster and then go into a tribute with your True Draco traps. That's pretty big. So we're gonna maybe see, with how cheap True Draco is, a ton of those throughout the field trying to top, and I don't think they'll fail completely. I think we'll see 1 or 2. But with Mystic Mine, it just reminds me of this overhype in the community / over fear that oh my gosh, Mystic Mine is coming. It's here. I can't believe this. I hate it. Yeah, you can hate it idealistically, but Cyberstein was one of the first ever emergency banned cards within this game. Think about that. A prize card brought back years later. And so many people were talking about, oh my gosh, Cyberstein Lockout, Cyberstein FTK, Cyberstein OTK. It's the end of the world, everybody. You saw all these YouTubers and like in the community too, on Reddit, on Facebook and Zodiac. You saw all these people like the world was ending. People bet me that 6 out of the top 8 of the next YCS would be Cyberstein. The top 8. I took those bets gladly. Look at how badly that failed at the competitive scene. But still, it was a threat. It was a valid point to bring it up. This is a little different. This is a big boy floodgate that is hecka searchable, and I get it. Having to go draw, pass, wait for them to do something, gain a counter maybe on the wave motion cannon, pass, draw, set, pass. It's not fun Yu-Gi-Oh! And I often equate this with Floodgate-like decks. It's like playing against a fireball player in the fighting game community where they just spam, spam, spam. And when you're coming in, they can move one of 3 ways. And if you don't guess that way that they're about to move out away from you, they're going to go all the way across the field and spam, 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 and keep you locked out. You don't get to mash your buttons. You don't get to do your combos. I get that can be frustrating. Not getting to do your plays because of a card can be very frustrating. So when you read this card for the first time, yeah, I get the adverse reaction. I get really disliking it. But do you know why it took this set coming out for the whole I can't believe this is here reaction rather than on its printing? It's because it's a panic scare. It's because it's actually here, and there's a ton of reasons to hype it. Oh, look at the secondary market. Look at what's jumping. Look at what's... Oh, there's tons of sales behind this? Now, I'm not going into conspiracy theory levels here, but there's a reason why hype sells, and the Mystic Mine itself was pretty much bought out in pre-sales, and it's gonna wind down. You're gonna pull plenty of them between cases. It's overhyped. Let's face it. There's no other way to put it. People have blown it out of proportion because they hate the essence of what it is. And I do too. But just because there's a ton of consistent ways to get it out, there's a ton of consistent ways in the metagame to counter the deck and end up playing back and forth. Don't let it fool you. Now, my Black Garden speech here. There's several people in streams that brought up, oh, Black Garden's pretty good against it because it puts the monsters on board. Unless you're playing one certain deck, Crusadia, you probably shouldn't be considering this card in the metagame. Alright, from a metagame perspective, I get locals, but if you are going to your locals with the sole intent of, these Mystic Mine players who are trying to ruin certain dual state, I'm gonna ruin their day, and you're trying to get matched up for them for weeks, you're spending your hard-earned money at locals for weeks to get paired up with your local Mystic Mine players, or just praying it'll happen at regionals, siding these. I can't take it anymore. I sincerely can't. It's actually crazy to me. It's insane that mentality is, oh yeah, we found the tech, we found the out, this is it. There's this witch hunt for that anti-tech, that anti-ability against Mystic Mine that people are running around of, when it's realistically not these, but what was already in the metagame, and could have been popping back into the metagame with relative ease. But that's just my opinion. Chat's had plenty of their own, and before Dark Briber was all, you got me! Yeah, they'll be playing cards like that too. Red Reboot's not gonna be the auto win, you know? It's not always gonna do it, but then they're gonna have less back row and you're gonna blow 2 more out, and guess how much 3 cards can do in this metagame? Like I said, on the competitive level, I'm making an early statement. I'm putting my own player mentality on the line here, saying, you want to see more than 3 of these top of YCS, these Mystic Mine decks. You will not see more than 3 unless it's like a 300-person South American YCS. You're not going to see it happen at a highly attended YCS with the greatest minds, greatest teams flying out. You're not. It's just not going to happen, okay? Unless something drastically changes and all of a sudden someone's made some Sky Striker Mystic Mine hybrid that blew everybody's minds. it's just not gonna do it. It's not. But that's my opinion. What is yours? OCG banned it from locals? Oh my gosh, because like I said, it's going to be a local problem. It's going to be a problem at the local level, not the YCS level. It'll maybe top a few regionals, but it's not going to even be that problematic through 9 round, 10 rounds. The greater regionals, it's not going to be that much of an issue there either. There's just too many in-format ways to take care of it, chat. Okay? I get the other sides of the argument. I get the want to scream and re at this, but for me, I don't like the card, but it's not going to make the impact that everybody's saying, in my opinion. But yeah, casually, it is broken. Competitively, yes, it's going to struggle. Perfect way to end this video, Eric. Thanks for watching, everybody.